Welcome back to Nakamoto 101, where we're breaking down the Bitcoin Whitepaper into little bitty chunks. And we have reached section 9 today, combining and splitting value. So essentially, here Satoshi discusses how transactions will and the transfer of amounts of Bitcoin would be split and combined, and he proposes that this is done with inputs and outputs. So, can you give a little context for the ins and outs of transactions?
Yeah, so when the new coins are created, it's just one chunk of 50 and one person owns it. Or it was, back when this was written, it was one chunk of 50 and one person owns it. So the part of money is needing to be able to split it up into any amount. One of the good things about Bitcoin is it goes to 8 decimals, so it kind of you could split it down for a long time before you run out of room. So as you're splitting up, you need a way to kind of keep track of where things are, where they were, and, where they originated from.
Okay.
So here we have an example of a transaction where 2 inputs are being spent in 1 output. So what you could see is, say, Alice here has 2 inputs from before when she was moving her money, or when she received this money from someone. She was sent money once, and she was sent money on a different occasion, and she has this money both in her possession. So when she signs the transaction, it sends them both, and it sends them to one place. So it's going to put 2 in and 1 out. So what she wants to spend it on, or where she wants to send it to, requires the amount that's in both. It's something expensive. So when she buys the item from Bob over here, it becomes one output. So what that does is, over time, as you need the money to be broken up into more pieces, it can be split apart to save more data, and it will use more data. But each piece can always be traced back to its origin, based around just seeing, okay, where did it come from before this and before this, and you can always go all the way back. So as the money gets used in different amounts, it can split apart, and it can always come back together.
And much like our earlier friend Timestamp Server, combining and splitting value is a bit of a short section. So the final thought inserted here is that Satoshi refers to fan out, and refers to unlike in previous sections, refers to fan out but doesn't cite anything or really give any provenance for it. But just says that fan out is when a transaction depends on several transactions and those transactions depend on many more. And then claims that fan out is not a problem here. So can you give some context to what a fan out is and why Bitcoin does not suffer from it?
Yeah, it's not something you see many problems of anymore these days. Usually it'll happen small scale at an individual level, where you'll receive a transaction from someone and they won't have confirmed yet, and then when you send your transaction, it's dependent on the one before it. From a business perspective, or from like a really high use case perspective, you could see a situation where there was chains of transactions just stuck behind each other. Eventually they would all clear. I don't believe there was a block size limit back at that point anyway, at the very, very beginning. So I'm not sure, it's kind of, he definitely always looks to the future and these problems that would probably arise from these situations, that are clear roadblockers, this is how he thinks they would play out, or how, if they're even problems.
Thank you for that. I mean, it does sound to me that a fan out reminds me of something that's called a Ponzi scheme.
Well, to be truthful, nowadays most transactions have something called replace by fee, which makes it really easy to send out a new transaction for those situations when things get stuck. Mm-hmm. So it's never safe to accept an unconfirmed transaction from someone, because they can open up their phone and click a button and take the money back.
And that's something we discussed at the discussion group for the first 3 videos last week, was the idea that you decide what level of confirmations you are comfortable with in a blockchain-based system. And maybe some people are very cynical, and not only do they want to validate it themselves, they want to wait until they're sure this is the longest chain proof of work, also agreeing with them, and it can't be reversed in any way.
That's what you should do.
Yeah.
If you don't know the person you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's just really easy to just take the money back if it hasn't confirmed yet. And they can, like, yeah. Be safe when you're dealing with Bitcoin with strangers.
Yeah, for sure.
One-way transactions are a feature, not a bug.
Thank you very much, and see you next time.